Vinda.
Her right side is Vinda?
Yes.
She did say that?
beautiful Mile City day in downtown Denver. We've got the Colorado Premier Challenge right here at the Aurelia Event Center, live from the campus of Metropolitan State University in Denver. Hello, everybody. Mary Kay Morrow alongside former head coach and was somebody who's been around the game, gosh, about 30 years. It's Debbie Hendricks. And Debbie, pleased to join you today in what should be an exciting battery of matches. Let people know a little bit about the history of this Premier Challenge. The Colorado Premier Challenge brings in some of the best of the best.
Without a doubt. This was a very stressful tournament to be a part of when I was coaching, but it was also very exciting. You always have nationally ranked teams. We were usually able to get the defending national champions, and this year Tampa's here. This is one of the strongest fields, though, I've seen in a long time. I think it probably has something to do with the fact that the NCAA national tournament is going to be here. So teams that think they might have a shot at being in the tournament want to get here, get used to the floor, get used to being in Denver. And so I think it's been an opportunity to gain some of that experience. But, the 12 teams in this tournament collectively went 40-8 last week. And all 10 of the teams that are visiting are nationally ranked teams. So it's going to be a special weekend, I think.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And you being a former head coach of the Roadrunners from Metropolitan State University of Denver, I know you know a lot of the players still, the coaches certainly. And today we're expecting to see a Tarleton team who definitely is going to bring their best as they finished in the national tournament in the Elite Eight. All right, we'll step aside. When we come back, we will have the opening serve. It's first up. We will have the national anthem right here on Roadrunners TV. We're getting set for the first match on Roadrunners TV. Mary Kay Morrow and Debbie Hendricks. And Debbie, we've got in the white, in blue and red, the home team on their home court. And that's the MSU Denver Roadrunners facing Tarleton. And Tarleton coming off a national tournament appearance. Third in a row just in the tournament last year for Metro State. 19 overall, 16 while you were here. What can we expect to see between these two matches?
Well, I think that we've got a team with a little bit more experience in Tarleton. They brought back a lot of players from that team last year. Looking across the net at this MSU Denver team, they only have 2, maybe 3 players returning and playing in the same position. Now, they have more returns than that. But, because of the loss of players last year, and we can talk more about those players later, they've had some players have to move position. And, that has a certain amount of newness to it. So I think we're going to see players playing different positions. We've got some new, fresh faces out there that are having to start and make an impact right away. So it's a very different-looking Roadrunner volleyball team this year. But in some ways, it's kind of exciting to see a fresh group out there.
And you mentioned the experience of Tarleton. They've got some outstanding hitters from pin to pin.
They do. What they did last week was run a 6-2 offense, which means they have 3 attackers on the front row at all times. I don't know that that's what they'll do today. It's still so early in the season. But what I will tell you is both of their right sides were very successful attacking last week. I think it's a tough assignment for a defense to be looking at 3 attackers all night long, all afternoon long, especially when the right sides are both really strong. So, it's going to be a feat for the Roadrunners to defend this 6-2 offense effectively, especially because quite a few of these gals were on the team last year. They know each other. They've got some flow and some confidence. It's a very competitive weekend last weekend. I don't know if people know, but they were originally supposed to be at Palm Beach and the tournament was canceled because of Dorian. And Tarleton ended up hosting at the last minute, and they had Cal State Bakersfield, Cal State LA, and Rockhurst ranked teams in their gym. They did drop one match to Cal State San Bernardino. I think I said Bakersfield, San Bernardino, and they're second in the country. So they played a very, very competitive schedule last weekend and went 3-1. Roadrunners, they played a good schedule. I think it was the right schedule for them with so many new kids on their team, and went 4-0. So it's just going to be interesting to see them in this environment, both teams in this environment. Tarleton on the road and the Roadrunners against nationally ranked opponents.
Yeah, and what's interesting that Dorian, I'm sure, wreaked havoc with a lot of scheduled activities. I know it did for conventions as well, and to be able to, shift. And I've been down at the Tarleton campus in Stephenville for basketball before, and just incredible abilities, and for them to adjust and make it happen is important. Roadrunners last week came away with actually they won all 4 of their matches, so they're 4-0 coming in today. You mentioned 3-1 for Tarleton. In this match already, a few points already have transpired, and the Roadrunners on top right now at 4-2. Back to serve is Michaela McClinton, a freshman middle from Raytown, Missouri. Set is on the way. Megan Hart goes back door. This one delivered by Benda, and it gets through on the right side. Nice little slide.
Benda is one of those players that has played on the right side in the past and is playing right side again now. I know there's a possibility that we'll also see her on the left. I think we could see several of these players play more than one position during the course of this tournament.
Back it goes to Tarleton's right side, and as you mentioned, Debbie, that's a fierce right side with Lauren Kersey on the outside. She also is joined by Tatiana Tuiali Umi, and that's who delivered that last hit from the right side for Tarleton. The Texans as their mascot. Down ball by Kayla White. Nice off speed, and mixing it up for the Roadrunners was Benda and Megan Hart. They get it over. Play continues. Debbie, in the backcourt, Rexis really came through second half of the season last year, and she's earned herself a starting spot here in her returning year as a junior now from Eaton, Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be looking for big things out of her, and she's getting to actually finally put the jersey on. That's always an exciting time for someone who's, been waiting for their opportunity to have that role, that leadership role, more playing time on the floor. So I'm sure they're looking for big things out of her this year.
Yeah, she came in a reserve role on numerous occasions and added a spark in a substitute role. Now she's earned that starting title, and really what's been going well for Metro early has been their deep serve.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I know the Roadrunners feel like they have to do in this match because Tarleton has such a high-octane offense. They're running that 6-2. They've got players that can terminate in every position. They've got to serve them tough. They've got to get them out of system and allow their block to double up on some of these attackers by having them out of system.
Tatiana delivers of firepower down the line, but Rexis was there to defend it and get the ball up. And another back row attack by White. Free ball on the way for the Roadrunners. Great adjustment in the middle by Kelling, and play continues. Rexis again on a big dig. This time cross court, and Tatiana unsuccessful, so Roadrunners win a long rally.
Yeah, and I think right there that's an example of she had to take a little bit of an out-of-system swing. They're even out of system, they're going to either channel the ball to the lefts, but I think they're also comfortable setting the ball to the right side attackers, but it's not the ideal ball, and you'll see some errors come out of that out-of-system swing.
And good size from Tatiana, too. The 6-foot lefty, a senior out of Bell, California, elevates just enough, but boy, when she throws it down, that arm swing really delivers some good power. It steps out on rotation. Now in to serve, number 10, Amari Franklin. Franklin, the second setter in that 6-2 for the Texans. They're led by head coach Mary Schindler.
Mary's done a great job with this program. I think this is her 15th year. She also played for the Texans. So she spent her entire playing and coaching career, college career and coaching career with the Texans. So you know she has a great deal of passion for this program. And she was in the process of building it for a decade before they really started seeing the fruits of their labor. But in 2013, 14 is when they really began competing for that conference, that Lone Star Conference championship. Made their first regional 5 years ago. And then, last year we all know they finally got to the dance, to the round of 8. And that's what she's done, is she's just continued to build this program over the years.
Well, and it's been impressive, too. Tarleton, along with what Coach Schindler has done for volleyball, what the basketball team, what the whole programs have done. In some ways, I could see them maybe making that move to Division I. It's just finding a conference that will take them.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard too much about that. I know there have been a few of those schools down there that have entertained that. There have been a lot of schools in Division II. I mean, we even know that MSU Denver did a feasibility study on that and determined that it was not the right fit. And so my guess is that Tarleton probably came out with the same conclusion. But you never know. I mean, I think we've seen so many Division II schools make that move to Division I. But my personal opinion is I wouldn't want to see them do that.
Yeah.
I really think when you've got the opportunity to become a powerhouse and be a powerhouse in Division II, I hate to see teams leave.
I would agree.
Because when you go back 20, 25 years, most of those Division II programs that have made that move to Division I are off the radar. Where they used to be a powerhouse, they're off the radar. And so it's kind of sad to see them go.
And I believe one of the more recent ones was California Baptist, making a move from Division II to Division I, and a huge powerhouse out of the Pac West. Play continues. The Roadrunners on a roll here. They have 2 service aces, lead this one by 5. Kayla White having to adjust, barely gets it over. Here's the slide, this swing coming from number 11, and that is Lauren Kersey, the 5'11 sophomore from Norman, Oklahoma, with the point inside out.
Yeah, she's the other right side that I was talking about in this offense. That typically, if a team's running a 6-2, they'll have one right side that's a little more of a terminator than the other right side. But both of these, you really have to honor them, and so it's going to be a tough assignment for the middles for this Metro State team.
Nice floater there. Oh, great dig, but just not getting it up enough was Riley Latke. And Megan Hart could not quite, or rather Sadler could not quite. So a service ace by number 6, Adriana Darthuy. Free ball on the way. Outside it goes. Getting a hand on it was Sadler. Kept the ball alive into the net. Roadrunners. And now a 5-point edge is turned into a 2-point advantage as the Texans get a little. Sadler tries White on the left side. Nice off speed. Found a gap in the back line.
I believe they called that out.
Oh, they did. Just missed it.
Yeah.
Just missed it. So that's going to be a point. And a timeout called by head coach Jenny Glenn. We'll take it with her. Roadrunners lead this one by 1. MSU Denver's Kayla White was the first ever Student Athlete of the Week presented by the MSU Denver Athletics Department. It's a brand new program that recognizes the best performance by a student athlete from the previous week. White, with this past week's winner after helping the volleyball team go 4-0 in their opening weekend on the road in Portland. The junior from Alabama racked up 40 kills, 32 digs, while scoring 8 service aces. Stay on Twitter as MSU Denver Sports. They announce the winner every week on Mondays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Back to live action. Tarleton still serving, and there's the block. White, along with Kelling, and Kelling, the senior, picking up where she left off last year, and with White, great double duty there to close it out.
Yeah, this is one of the big changes that they've seen in the lineup is Kayla White moving from the right side to the left side, and yet Jenny Glenn's been very complimentary about her adjustments. You know, she plays high enough, she swings hard enough. She's a Terminator for sure. The biggest change, I think, moving from the right side to the left side is Kayla's going to have to carry a heavier load this year. You know, a lot of times the outside's the one who's going to get that out-of-system set. And it's just a tough duty because you're going to be looking at a double block. Sometimes you're taking the ball at a difficult angle, and yet you still have to find ways to keep the ball in play, be creative in finding ways to score. So it'll be interesting to see how she adjusts to that heavier load that she'll be carrying on the left side versus where she's been on the right side for the last couple of seasons.
And really impressive, as you mentioned, about moving from right to left. Interesting enough, as a freshman, she was on the right back. She was a defensive player mostly, and she's just really done wherever she is needed. She has moved for the team, shows great versatility and athleticism on White's part. Nice off speed on the right side, that time for the Roadrunners as Canty comes in, the 6'2 redshirt freshman from Sanford, Colorado. Got the point inside out for MSU Denver, and now serving is junior setter Jessa Meganhart. This one a little bit wide. It's going to be a point inside out for Tarleton. Substitutions come in and back on that right side. You know, they really don't give up much, do they, when they substitute on the right side? Then they've got, if it's not going to be Tatiana, then it's also, on the other right side is that number 11, Lauren Kersey.
Yeah. No, it's anytime you play against a 6'2", it's a tough defensive assignment. You know, I think that you can even see by the way the block has been a little bit early to those right sides. They're expecting them to take a lot of swings from the right side attack.
Kayla White with the running swing for her service, goes down the line. Oh, great power coming from the back row, and again, it's Adriana Darthuy, the 5'9 senior from Marseille, France, and she's somebody you have seen a lot of honorable mention All-American.
Yeah, Darthuy had a great season last year. She's been with the Texans for 2 seasons now. I'm sure they're expecting a lot out of her, and you know, she's a nice complement to that right side. In fact, it opens her up some having the right sides be so good. The middle is going to be constantly closing seams from pin to pin, but Darthuy had a great season last year, obviously All-American. She's been a 2-time All-LSC award winner, and I know they're looking for, as a senior this year, to do a lot for this team.
Yeah, it just gives them a different look. I think a little quicker of a swing, and her leaping ability is incredible too. So another weapon for the Texans, and now they're starting to get her untracked, and they pull back to within 2.
Darthuy was actually picked as the preseason Offensive Player of the Year for the Lone Star Conference. So obviously the entire conference knows what to expect from her. Yeah.
And you speak of the Lone Star Conference. They, along with the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, the RMAC, which the Roadrunners are in, both of those conferences play in the same regional.
Correct. So this is actually an early regional matchup with a lot of bearing. You don't want to talk about that too much as a coach because it's so early, and you know, right now I know the Roadrunners, they're just trying to find flow, get this new lineup comfortable playing together, but at the same time, these two conferences don't cross over and play each other very much during the course of the year. And I know when we were scheduling the Premier, we always brought in 2 Lone Star teams. So there'd be us and Regis, and there'd be 2 Lone Star teams, and we guaranteed that we would get at least one regional matchup out of the tournament. It's kind of a little bit of a roulette because it's early. You can't afford to lose that match, but if you do gain the win, that early win, it carries implications for regional rankings all season long. So it's kind of one of those things that if the Roadrunners are able to beat Tarleton today, everybody that Tarleton beats in the Lone Star Conference is it's a common opponent. It's kind of a little win for the Roadrunners as well. So this is a very important match for both of these teams. It's tough to put that much pressure on a match in the second week of season, but it's a reality.
Yeah, because as the season wears down, particularly when it comes November, that's when it could be a deciding factor in seedings for tournament play.
Well, another reason I think this would be a huge win for the Roadrunners, and it's so early in the match, it's hard to say that, but we know because it's such a different look to this team, and Jenny Glenn has said it several times. The Roadrunners are going to probably improve every single week. Right. We're going to see this team get better every single week. And I think the Texans probably, because so many of their players are returners, they don't have quite as much of a ceiling. They don't have quite as much room to improve as the Roadrunners do. So, an early win of this nature would be huge for the Roadrunners.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point, especially since the Roadrunners, as you had mentioned at the top of the show, that they have so many players playing different positions. They have 7 returners, 6 who are new on the squad, so it's really a 50-50. But what Coach Glenn is really excited about is she said already she can see some good chemistry, the support, and that goes a long way when you're going through ebbs and flows to that finding your rhythm, finding the organization on the court, and to being really good. So if they could get this one early, if they're the first to 20 here in set 1. That one goes cross court, and that's Kersey with the kill, and it's 2018. Roadrunners lead, and back to serve. She's been effective here late, Adriana Darthuy. On the slide, the hands were up. White and Kelling couldn't close the block. Got a couple hands on it. We're going to step aside. Break time, 2019. Roadrunners lead it by 1. Welcome back to the Auraria Event Center, home of the Metropolitan State University Denver Roadrunners and site of the Colorado Premier Challenge. Mary Kay Morrow alongside former head coach Debbie Hendricks, and she spent 15 years right here in Denver, right here at MSU Denver. It's got to be just a feel-good for you every time you step through the doors.
Oh, it's so much fun to come back here. And, the first couple of years it was hard to come back. You felt like you were left out. I was left out.
It was so much a part of you.
I wasn't invited to the party, but, the last couple of years, this being my first time back in the gym this season, it's fun to watch everything that's happening here. And, even just in the gym, all the improvements that have been made in preparation for hosting the Division II championship in December. And, I've become really, really good friends with Jenny. I knew her through recruiting, and obviously Amy and I go way, way back. But just seeing the job that she's done here with these players, and these are all hers now except for Alyssa Kelling. She's the only one that I recruited and coached for 1 year. But, these are all hers, and she just does a great job.
Well, and Jenny just speaks, leaps and bounds about you and what really you set the bench. You set the benchmark for this team and the standard that, you had 16 appearances when you took teams from MSU Denver to the NCAA Division II tournament. And she is now in her 4th season, and it's a lot to live up to. She is now the last 3 years, and they snuck in the back door, but boy, her team really pulled it out. And maybe briefly, I know we're getting close here on set 1, but briefly tell people a little bit about that team last year. Really pushed through a lot of adversity, the 3 seniors that carried the squad into the NCAAs.
Well, it's impossible to replace players. And when you start talking about like Santasia Sturgis, who was an All-American, and when I was talking earlier about Kayla learning how to just carry that heavier load on the outside, that's what Santasia did so well. If she didn't have the ability to put a kill away, she knew how to keep the ball in play, and she was so crafty finding ways to score. And then, you had Taylor Darthuy. She only had 2 years here at MSU Denver, but she was the same type of outside hitter by the end where, she just really didn't make a lot of mistakes, and she could be very terminal when she needed to be. And then the third player they lost was Steph Laraway in the middle, and that's just 3 huge holes that they left and big shoes to fill. And like I said, you don't really ever fill the shoes. You just find new ways of being successful at this level, and that's exactly what Jenny Glenn is doing. And that's why, you got some different players playing different positions, and they're doing fine because Jenny knows how to help that transition successfully.
Yeah, and you talked about the heavy load. What's impressive to me is how Jenny has been able to, at least early, and she said, and you know this as well as anyone, Debbie, you just never know how your team's going to respond, especially to losing 3 big pieces like that. But she said our whole defense basically is new outside of Rexus, and she said Darthuy and Laraway and particularly Santasia Sturgis, they were huge defenders too. They had a lot of digs. They were key defensive players too, so this team's responding. Has a lot to respond to as well.
They have a lot to respond to, but I think that the thing I'm feeling today is I don't see any pressure, and that pressure to be performing at a certain level early typically comes from coaching staff. And what I feel like is this coaching staff is giving them the time. They're very competitive coaches, I can assure you, but they're giving them the time to adjust to new positions and to find themselves and find the personality of their team. And they know there are going to be some growing pains and all of that, but I think that the coaches knew going into the season that was going to be the case. And, there are going to be some lumps, but I think what they are concerned with is where are they going to be in November. That's what really is going to matter.
Set point as Tarleton 1 away from taking the first set. Brannon back to serve. Here's a quick in the middle. McClinton. And it's just out. Roadrunners go down in set 1 after leading most of the set. We'll be back for set 2 next on Roadrunners TV. 25-23, Tarleton State takes set 1 over the MSU Denver Roadrunners. Mary Kay Morrow and Debbie Hendricks. And Debbie, the 5-2 run, Tarleton to finish out set 1. They found some gaps in that defense.
You know what I really think it boils down to is confidence. You know, the Roadrunners have been pretty much in control of that entire set. And I think right there at the end, and we go back to the experience piece and having played together longer, Tarleton just looked a little bit more composed and confident in that situation. But that's a good teaching moment for the MSU Denver team, because they're going to have to learn to play in pressure situations late in sets, because that's how the conference is going to be, that's how the region's going to be. That's a set they'll learn from, I believe.
Tight set. They come out with the first point here. A lot of solid rallies in this match thus far. Back outside it goes on the left side. That one kind of in an area that was in between middle and outside, and making the adjustment was number 15, Amber Strange, off the bench. And Amber Strange, a 6-foot junior out of Granbury, Texas. Yeah,
she was a second-team all-conference player last year in the Lone Star. I kind of expect we'll see 3 outside players, outside hitters share time in this rotation for Tarleton, she being the third one.
Well, and as you said, when it is early like this, and one of the things Coach Glenn talked to me about prior to the match, she said, really early, she goes, I know it gets said time and time again by coaches, but you really have to be able to serve well and pass. She goes, it's just really what kind of carries you early on, and her team has definitely served well, and they've held their own. I mean, that first set, they were in the lead most of the time.
Yeah. Well, and going back to the very last point of that set, I really liked the fact that they set McClinton in the middle. McClinton took that swing and just missed it a little bit long. But I thought that was a gutsy set. She knew she had her in a one-on-one situation. And that's one of those things I think that passing made that available to be able to set the middle. When the Roadrunners broke down, a little bit of it was their ball control. But I think that if I could have been in the timeout, the crossover conversation with the team, I don't think Jenny Glenn had any issue with the fact that was the choice that was made for that set, or even on the miss, because McClinton took a good swing. She just missed it. It was an aggressive type of thing to do at set point. So I think those are the things you want to see out of your team. Mm-hmm. They'll work out the errors later on, but you want to see them playing aggressively.
And try certain things. And throwing down the hammer, number 16 does an outstanding job for Metro State, and that is Riley Latke, the freshman from 6 foot from Gillette, Wyoming. She was a Gatorade Player of the Year in basketball in Wyoming. And she's playing left side for Jenny Glenn's team here at MSU Denver.
Yeah, I've been very excited to see this young lady, and when I heard she was the Gatorade Player of the Year in basketball, I thought, poor Tanya, she's got to just be drooling. But talking to Jenny, this kid's love is volleyball, and Jenny's been really excited about her through the preseason. I mean, freshmen, when they show up, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. Will they come in fit? Will they come in overthinking things? What will their transition be like? And she's been really positive about how she's just stepped in right away. She's ready to be a terminal attacker for this team, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, and she said with her athleticism, she was a multi-sport athlete in Gillette, and she had 16 kills in her first collegiate match. She's a student of the game, and she goes, I can just see her getting better and better. And she's a 6 rotation player. What a great way to have a freshman come right in. And she said she's only going to get hugely better, and her size helps her out too.
Yeah, because, I mean, she's been here a month. She's still learning what it takes at this level, what the speed is like, the system that she's in. I already see so much of what Jenny's talking about, and she's going to be a really high-level player for this program for 4 years, and that's exciting.
And you're right, MSU Denver's head basketball coach, Tanya Habe, is probably smart in that she's on the volleyball court, but probably just glad in the big picture she is a road runner.
Absolutely.
Our Jenny Glenn calling out some instructions to her team. Back to serve is Latke. Block is there on Strange. Kelling and White And going around the block, great decision by Kersey, and she's successful with another kill.
Kersey's got a little bit of a unique approach. She can go off 1 foot, much the same way a middle does when they run behind. They run the slide, they go off 1 foot. She also can go off 1 foot, which is a little bit more difficult to defend. Gives a different look to that right side.
I was just going to
attack.
say, is it more because of the balance of it, or that you're able to go around blocks a little easier if you're on the 1 foot?
Well, my guess would be she's a middle. She's at some point she's been trained as a middle and she's comfortable off 1 foot. But you definitely show it's definitely more difficult for the block to set up and establish their position on you when you go off 1 foot. So I think it's just her comfort level with it.
Nice off speed by White. Radical angle. Serves her well as now Roadrunners up by 2. So White coming in at 5'10", next to the 6'2" McClintock and McClinton rather, and the 6 foot Canty. Well, what's great about that is she can leap either just as well or probably better than those two. So it's a terrific front lineup right now. Good rotation for the Roadrunners.
Yeah, Kayla White's playing, I think, 10 foot is what Jenny said, and it looks like it. You know, that angle she hit on that last ball, you've got to be playing that high to hit that sharp of an angle. I think 5'10" might be stretching it.
Yeah, I would agree. I was thinking 5'8" or 9.
Yeah, but she's absolutely playing as high as if she was, 4 or 5 inches taller.
Her mom, head volleyball coach down at Alabama State, was in the house last year to watch the final match, which Debbie, you and I had the honor of broadcasting last year in the first round of the RMAC tournament.
Yes, we did, and her mom was a great player in her own right. She played at LSU All-American, and then played on the national team, and then she was a coach down at Air Force. So I knew Penny when she was down at Air Force, and was really excited when they got Kayla recruited here. Her mom's much taller, but Kayla, without a doubt, has her mom's athleticism.
Yeah, and talking with Kayla, she says, I definitely hope my game can even slightly resemble my mom's.
Well, that's one of the extra pieces you get from an athlete like that is Kayla, an athletic family. She understands teams. She understands leadership. That's one of the things Jenny's been so complimentary about with Kayla. And she's a junior now. It's time for her to really step in and be a leader on this, a real leader, like graduating the players that they did last year. She's got to be a vocal leader. She's got to lead with her play. And I think she's absolutely ready for it. But, those are easier things to do when you come from a family that has a history in athletics.
And I was going to mention, too, we actually did a little feature last year about how many players have parents, mom and or dad, who are coaches or who've been coaches, and how that impacts the student athlete. From almost sometimes it's the mental edge. They provide a mental edge that's a little bit different besides just, good genes, but for the athleticism. Darthuy was another example of that, her dad being a basketball coach at, I believe it was Boise State.
Well, I think typically if you're an athlete coming out of a coach's household, your parents have been hard on you. They've been demanding of you, and so you're used to it. There's nothing that you're probably going to see from a coach that's going to be any more than what you've received from your coach parent. I think it can have its good and bad sides to it, but overall, sure. I just think that they know what to expect when they arrive because the parents have helped them prepare for it.
Good court awareness there by White, but picked up by Tarleton, and that one back and forth across the net. Roadrunners lose out and down by 1. Good competitive, and Coach Glenn said last night, she said, one thing you want to make sure of is she says you don't know how you're going to fare wins because definitely you want to play to win, but she says you got to be able to compete. You got to be able to find that, dig down, and see how your team's going to compete.
Well, and they're absolutely doing that right now. I mean, they don't seem the least bit phased by losing that last set, and that was a great high swing by Binda. They're going to need more from Binda this year. because of some of the loss in point scoring from last season, and that was a great high swing by her. This Tarleton block is big. All of these attackers are going to have to be looking to attack the high part of the block.
Try to get some fingers. Oh, cross court it goes. That one coming off the hands of the freshman Lotke. Great physical presence, number 16 for the Roadrunners on the court with Kelling. And as you said, your last recruit before you left the program, and Kelling's done a nice job coming into her own. Great decision there, finds the hole in the defense, and MSU Denver back in a tie.
Yeah, you know, Kelling, I just love this kid, and you know, I'm sorry I only got to coach her for 1 year. You know, she's still here because she had to redshirt for a year for her first year because of an ACL. So theoretically, she should have already graduated, but she's back, and I think it's going to be huge for this team because her having been a part of this program and having so many new faces, she's kind of that stabilizing leadership piece that they absolutely need. So she'll make an impact on the floor, but I think she'll really make an impact in the locker room and in helping some of these younger players find their way.
And speaking of making an impact in the locker room, a player that they had last year in Michaela Kubiak, just a medical, you know, she was a medical redshirt for a number of years, and she's really, I believe Coach called it a medical, I don't know if you want to call it a discharge, but in other words, she had 3 ACLs plus a torn Achilles, and the sophomore just unable medically to return to the team. So what she's doing, she's now assisting. So she's a bench coach. She's there at the practices. She's in the locker room. That's got to be invaluable to have the ear of the team, like a player like Kubiak.
Absolutely. You know, I think one of her best qualities was her leadership and her understanding of the game. She had a very high volleyball IQ for a young player. I know they were really looking forward to her this season, but as coaches, you have to understand these young ladies play so much volleyball before they even get to this level. And her body really had enough. And it was a hard thing for everyone. I just talked to her before the match. I think it's been very hard for her. She wants to be out there playing. But I think at some point you have to just say enough is enough. They will still gain real good benefits out of her being a student assistant because she can relate to what the players are going through out there even better than the coaches can. And she can be an extra set of eyes and ears for the team on the bench. Yeah,
and if she can embrace that role, Coach Glenn said she's got a future in coaching. She
I
really,
can absolutely
really sees
that,
it,
yeah.
and you can see it as well. Yeah. Here goes the set by Darthuy. Oh, a nice shoot set, and capitalizing and finding the spot. Number 15 doing a great job, and that's Amber Strange, the junior outside, doing a terrific job of adjusting.
That was a double quick right there. That's one of those things that younger blockers haven't seen a lot of yet, and it just takes a while to understand your assignment on those types of plays. So Tarleton's wise. Actually, they have the ability to run a very fast, complex offense. They're wise to do that against this younger squad.
Mm-hmm. Coach Glenn said they can throw in a little tempo, and that's what they're doing right here. The Texans now up by 2. This lead just keeps shifting from both teams. We'll see back to serve now, number 2, Caleb Brannon. Nice decision. Smart play by White. Saw the block up, tooled it off the blockers, and MSU Denver back within 1.
Yeah, that's one of those things that outside hitters have to be able to do is you've got a big block in front of you. You still have to find a way to create for yourself. Tooling the block, swinging high off the high fingertips of the block. Those are the types of things that will help you score in those imperfect situations which outsides find themselves in so often.
Megan Hart on the service. She'll serve a back set. And the swing coming from Benda, but a double hit called on the Roadrunners. Outside. Big swing. Ball's picked up as Bendis puts it down. White with elevation, beautiful off speed, excellent dig by the libero, Michaela Rodriguez. And Benda with the power knocks down Tatiana.
Well, and that was a situation right there where what we talked about earlier, they're going to use the rights and less interchangeably. Kayla White stayed and swung on the right side. Benda stayed and swung on the left side. Just giving a different look to this Tarleton defense. I think that's good.
Oh, just missed it. White with a little bit too much on it. Floats out of bounds for a service error and a free for the Texans. Rodriguez back to serve. Senior out of San Antonio, Texas. She is listed, folks, at 4'11". I think that's the first time I've seen somebody under 5 foot.
She's shorter than I am.
And you know what I was going to say? And shorter than me.
Yeah.
You and I can basically look eye to eye. That is amazing to play at this level.
Yeah, but you know, she's good. Just in last weekend, and remember, they played 3 nationally ranked teams. She averaged a little over 5 digs per set. So that position doesn't require size. Sometimes size can advantage a libero, but she's obviously getting it done.
Exactly, getting down low. We'll step aside for a brief break, and we'll return for more action right here at Auraria, Denver. NCAA Division II action, some of the best in the country right here at the Auraria Event Center in downtown Denver, Colorado. Mary Kay Morrow along with Debbie Hendricks. And Debbie, we're watching a solid early match against two teams who face each other in the regionals.
Yeah, that's a great serve there by McClinton. This is exactly what you have to do to break down this Tarleton offense, is get them out of system. The Roadrunners have to keep serving aggressively.
McClinton, a freshman. Outside it goes. Darthuy, slices in the back through the defense of White and McClinton.
So it appears that the Texans are going to stay in the 5-1. I did hear Mary Schindler just ask for her substitutions, and she's at 13, so they're going to have to be in the 5-1, I think, the rest of this set, which does mean now they've got, right now the Roadrunners are defending 5-1 offense from the Texans, so they have the ability now to focus on 2 hitters as opposed to 3, and they should be able to get a little bit better double block up and take advantage of these situations, right, these situations where the setter's on the front row.
Big swing, that one did it, oh my, did it touch? Looks like it touched down, just caught the back tape. As throwing a big swing once again, Tatiana gets the call from Kayla Brannon. As you mentioned, Brannon, the primary setter. First to 20 is Tarleton State, and Darthuy back to serve. She's had a good run in this match thus far, serving. Tough ball to swing, but Darthuy gets it over with good, solid power. Nice swing, cross court, here it comes.
Yep.
Termination by the freshman, Riley Latke.
Yeah, well, I really liked that matchup because, you know, Tarleton has their setter front row right now, and she's smaller, and setters typically aren't going to put up as big a block. So they're going to be using their outsides a lot right here, trying to take advantage of that matchup, I think.
Oh, good decision with the set over the net, but it was read well by the Texans. Kayla White has to dig back on that one. Oh, set over the net, but Kelling in the net on the swing. Point doesn't count for MSU Denver, and Texans go back up by 1.
That one hurts a little bit because they did have the Texans scrambling there. Texans scrambling, but they still have 2 more rotations now with the setter up. So I continue to expect them to capitalize on their outsides, Roadrunner outsides against the smaller right side block of Tarleton.
Sophie Tonga, 5'10" senior out of Laie, Hawaii, steps in, but we've got a timeout. We'll take a timeout as well. Roadrunners down by 1. (21-20) State leads it by 1 over MSU Denver. And Debbie, you talked about what the Roadrunners have to do. Strategy here in the stretch run of set 2 for the Tarleton State Texans.
Well, I tell you something they did. That's exactly what I expected the Roadrunners to do. I think they're releasing the middle a little bit. The Tarleton is releasing their middle a little bit early to try to get her out here to help defend with the setter who's front row. But I think the other thing they need to do is they need to pass tight and let the setter jump set, because then she's at least a threat to dump, take that second ball over. So I know they want to push her up, keep her as a threat, because then they really still do have 3 attackers.
Tatiana from the back row just misses. And MSU Denver back in the lead by 1. Once again, a very competitive set. Tarleton leads this 1-0 on a 26-24 first set score. Rex is serving for MSU Denver. Outside it goes. Strange over the blockers and out of bounds. Was it touched?
Yes.
And it was. Jump set back to wide. Oh! And at the block, all over it, Tatiana along with Tonga. And the double connection forces a timeout on MSU Denver. We'll keep it right here.
Well, as you can see, Tarleton's back into their 6-2 lineup with the setter on the back row. So now they've got that big block again. So, you know, the Roadrunners are going to have to try to stay away from trying to blast through that block. And even if you think you see seam, it better be a pretty big seam, because their middles are big and they close well. I think the attackers are much wiser to look to attack high on the block, tool the block, rather than trying to bury through the seam. Now they're going to have to find a way to win. It's tight here in the 20s. They're going to have to find a way to win against the Tarleton 6-2 rotations. Guarantee you Jenny Glenn's coming up with something.
She's coming up with something. So a timely timeout as Coach Glenn sees her team down by 1. But more importantly, it gives Tarleton just 2 away from taking a commanding lead in this set. Best of 3, first to 25, or win by 2. And new this year, Debbie, is that challenge review. You get 3 per match. Unless the match goes 5 sets, then you get 1 more.
Right. We haven't seen one called in this match. I think there were a couple called in the last match between Tarleton and Southwest Minnesota. I haven't seen it a lot. I saw it in a Division I tournament last year, and then we saw it at the national championships. And I think part of the point of using it here today on this court only, they're only using it on the center court, is just to get comfortable with it for this staff here at MSU Denver, because they will be hosting the tournament in a few months. But it's got some challenges for coaches too, as far as the strategy, the tactics about when they use it, how they use it. With only 3, you have to choose carefully.
Block is up. 2 in a row for MSU Denver. Actually, no, that one did not stay in the court. So the tie is broken by Tarleton State, and the Texans 1 away from capturing set 2 and taking a 2-0 lead in this one.
So Mary Schindler just used her very last timeout. I'm guessing this is an aggressive server she wants in.
Excellent serve, and it worked.
Oh, that was a good sub.
Yeah, that one couldn't have been dialed up better by Coach Schindler and her staff, and the Texans take a 2-0 edge. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll get ready for set 3, but the Roadrunners have a lot of work to do to get back into this one. And what's been a competitive match, 26-24, 25-23, Tarleton State leads it here on Roadrunners TV for the Colorado Premier Challenge. Two sets to 0, the Tarleton State Texans lead it over MSU Denver. Mary Kay Morrow and Debbie Hendricks. You live coverage of the Colorado Premier Challenge, one of the best tournaments in the country, especially early in NCAA Division II women's volleyball. The road to get to Denver starts here for the Roadrunners, and what an opportunity, Debbie, and you've been on the NCAA committee over the years. What does it mean to the university to bring it here to Denver, a national tournament like this?
Oh, it's so cool. I'm really sad, that it didn't happen during the time that I was here. It's just such a prestigious event, and I know that they are working tirelessly right now to prepare for it. And to the extent that the Roadrunners only had 2 practices this week in their own gym, that's the first time they've practiced in their gym because of the renovations that were being made to prepare for that event in December. And so, hats off to this team. This doesn't feel that much like a home floor to them right now, and they're still playing. I mean, there's only 4 points separating these 2 squads. And, you look at statistically, MSU Denver 4 blocks to Tarleton's 2. They actually hit, the Roadrunners hit 255 in that last set. They hit great, but the Tarleton hit 325, and it's just what it feels like to me. The little bit of separation is just there at the very end of the sets. They're playing a tight, competitive match in so many ways, and it just seems like the confidence that Tarleton has at this juncture is just enough to help them win those critical points, score that service ace right at the end of the set, and the Roadrunners will get there with those types of things, but I think that's all that's separating these 2 teams.
And that's a very good point, because it's really finishing. That's they
Right.
really just, they get in those last few points as soon as somebody passes 20. They get to those few points, and it's been a sticking point. But the Roadrunners, back to your point about them not being able to practice, let alone play in their own gymnasium. They've been, Coach Glenn said, we've been playing on the road. We play great on the road. We have no idea how we play at home. She said, we're used to going to practice. She goes, we have to allot an extra hour every day because it's 30 minutes to and from practice. They've practiced at Juggernaut, a club team location. They've practiced at Gold Crown in Lakewood. They've practiced out in Arvada at a facility, as well as CU Denver, just here in this Auraria complex as well. And she said, our motto this year is adapt and overcome. She goes, we've done a lot of that already. So, that's got to really lay some groundwork for this team as they make some early strides towards finding a rhythm.
Absolutely. I think they'll draw from that all season long. I know it was a huge headache. I talked to Jenny several times about it, and I kept encouraging her that I thought in the long run, once they got through it, it was going to pay dividends down the stretch. And your home court will always be your home court, but learning to be a good road team doesn't come as naturally, and I think you're right. I think they will be a good road team as a result of what they've been through.
I told her you should tell your team, approach this like it's a road match. They've done so well on the road, act like they're facing Tarleton on the road, but they are definitely showcasing some great talent here early on what we can maybe look at as a home court advantage in the future for the Roadrunners. The Road Warriors, the Roadrunners. We're tied once again. We've said that a lot in this match. This time 4-4 as Benda comes out back to serve for the Roadrunners is Jolie Sadler, one of the setters, and Sadler's had a good day as well. She's got 11 assists on the day so far.
That was a big, big swing by 2 of the that's a statement swing right there, and I think that Tarleton's really looking to try to take control of this match. They know they've got a 2-set lead. They don't want to let this thing get away from them, and I think their key players are really going to step up right here and just try to put this thing away in 3 if they can.
Oh, great move, great set, right in the middle for Kelling, and she terminates it in the back corner.
Yeah, Kelling is very good one-on-one, and if they can get her into those one-on-one situations, she's going to terminate a lot for them. She actually came up with that big block 2 points ago. I know they need Alyssa not to try to play outside of herself and just do her thing, which she's a great blocker. The very first year that she was playing for them, and I believe had to come in because of an injury, she had something like 9 blocks in that match. She's a great blocker. So they need her to just get her kills when the opportunities come, be a stabilizing force for their block, and be a leader for this team.
Moves along very well. Here's the back set on the right. Swing by Ava Lai. First time we've seen her in the match. And Lai, a sophomore out of Boulder, Colorado. She prepped at Fairview High School, a 6'1" middle who, as we see, can also play the right side. She played outside last year in middle. Again, one of the players who a little bit familiar with her spot, but asked to do more as Jenny Glenn is getting the most out of her team. Lotke looked like she was in position for that dig. And Sadler's, that was just a good hit. Sadler made the decision to stick her arm out to try to get a hand on it, and it trails out of bounds. 8-5, biggest lead in a long time, Debbie, that we've seen in this match. Tarleton State up.
Yeah,
Right.
well, like I said earlier, I really do think that they smell blood in the water, and they want to take advantage of being the more experienced team on the two-set lead. And you're just seeing the energy and the vocal presence of their key players out there going up a notch. And I think they're trying to intimidate this younger, less experienced squad. But I think this time out right here is going to be about staying aggressive. You know, this Roadrunner team has been extremely competitive. Like I said earlier, 4 points have separated the first two sets. So they don't have anything to hang their heads about. They have a big, daunting task in front of them right now. But they've lost a little bit of that aggressive aura you sensed with the team in the last two sets, and they need to get it back. They have nothing to lose right now.
You know, and you mentioned with this 4-point edge that, and you know Coach Schindler is really talking her team up, trying to get that energy, as you said, to just leave no doubt and try to end this in 3. This is only the second time it's been a 4-point lead, and that was Tarleton State in the first set. We mentioned the libero for Tarleton State, number 16, Michaela Rodriguez, standing at 4'11". She's been outstanding. She has 9 digs so far on the day, tied with Darthuy, and what a well-rounded 6-rotation player Darthuy has been. What she provides for this squad.
Yeah, I think when I looked at her stats, she was second in digs for the team last weekend, behind Rodriguez, and Rodriguez is just a little bit off her little over 5 digs per set from last weekend. That's a big number for a libero. If she keeps that pace, nobody will be talking about her size.
That's exactly right. And we know we're just a few inches ahead of her. There was that look again for Kelling. Kelling left one-on-one, puts it away, pulls the Roadrunners back to within 3. Nice way to come out of the timeout. Unfortunately, a service error gives the point right back.
Yeah, I think that's part of that, being aggressive. The Roadrunners have had a good deal of success today serving tough, being aggressive. You're going to make a few more errors when you do that, but I think Jenny Glenn really wants them to keep that aggressive mentality in everything that they do.
Tatumi goes, it just grazes the net. Kayla White gets it back, sends it down the line, and a big kill off the final arms there of Natalie Chatham.
That's the way you attack a big physical block. You just swing high. She just caught fingertips. It's a perfect swing for that situation.
And you're right, with the leaping ability of White, who, as you said, can hit at 10 feet. She is just what they need against a team like Tarleton, who puts up that big block. Here's a back row attack to Darthuy. Outside it goes. White's going to try it again, and Darthuy gets 2 arms on it, and Rodriguez can't keep it in the court. And MSU Denver now getting a little bit more energy as they pulled it within 2.
Well, in addition to be able to be creative with her swing, she also can bring the heat for a little bit undersized outside attacker. So that was some heat right there.
Heat check provided by Kayla White. Oh, and some nice precision. Great placement in the middle. That time coming from Tonga. But it sails out of bounds, so 3 in a row. Megan Hart continues to serve for the lefty. Sends it into Strange's hands. And Darthuy was a little too far, a little bit too much separation from the net, and just like that, that 4-point lead has evaporated, and the Roadrunners have tied it at 10.
Well, and that's come on the arm of Kayla White, and Alyssa Kelling got a kill in there. And every single one of those situations, I felt like they took the aggressive swing. And that's what I think was missing at the first part of this set. The Roadrunners had just started to play a little bit tentative, and in everything they do now, they just got to really play to win. You know, it's not out of the question that they can climb back in this match, but they're not going to climb back in tentatively.
You know, you had talked about how early you like the way this team looks, what Jenny Glenn and her staff, which you mentioned. I mean, they're excellent. Matt Deming, also Amy Watanabe, who's done an excellent job and has been with the program for a long time. This team is motivated. Coach Glenn said, it's a great group of athletes. So she said, we're missing those senior leaders who were so important. She said, but they've really rallied around each other. And she said, they're patient, but they want to win in the process. So that's a good balance that I think you're going to play for at least the first part of the season. Megan Hart back to serve. She has served 3 in a row. Oh, and follows it up out of the timeout with another service error for the Roadrunners.
Well, again, I know that probably is a little bit frustrating watching that missed serve, but she came out and scored 3 points on a very aggressive serve. And again, sometimes you're going to miss some of those, but the mentality is there.
Kayla Brannon, the setter, who has 15 assists, that is, in the match on the service, and that was Tonga. Trying to place it deep in the corner, it sails out of bounds. Changes as Lotke returns for the Roadrunners, and Ashlyn Chichuli heads out. White back to serve for the Roadrunners. In the middle. One of the few times you see the lefty with a touch over. Tatiana. Set over by Darthuy. Megan Hart. Oh, to McClinton. Gets around the blockers, but Brannon's there. And Amber Strange catches the blockers on the downside of the jump. And that was just enough to get through the block for the point inside out. Holcomb served. Benda goes down the line, but Holcomb's there. Great block. Oh, McClinton closed the block in a hurry. And Tatiana did not have the gap she was hoping for.
Yeah, McClinton's really, like last weekend, she averaged over 1.2 blocks per set. They may not be getting quite the offensive effectiveness right now that they're looking for, and I think they'll eventually have as she gets more comfortable with the system. But they're definitely getting the defense out of her. I mean, any middle that's blocking over 1 block per set is contributing, and that's what I've seen from her today, is that defensively she's a very effective blocking middle.
And she seems unassuming, but boy, when she gets in there, she's very focused, and she's had a terrific match thus far, and so has Darthuy as she finds the back line. White lays out, can't get there. 2-point edge for the Texans. Rodriguez back to serve. Sends it into the corner to the freshman. Backside it goes. Benda finds the hole behind the blockers.
Yeah, that was a smart tip by Benda, because just a few rallies ago she swung hard line and the defender was deep and dug her. So she goes inside her head and says, hey, if she dug me deep, that means short's open. And a well-placed line tip there.
Good strategy by Benda. Counts for a point inside out for the Roadrunners. Middle set by Sadler. Great adjustment by White on the back hit. Oh, crossing the line is Brannon, and it's caught by the down referee. And we are back to a tie, this time 14 apiece. As the Roadrunners make up that 2-point deficit with Sadler serving. Chatham rejected. Oh, cross court. Darthuy finds the hole. Or does she? It slices through and out of bounds, untouched. So MSU Denver now with a 1-point edge. 3 in a row, 2 off the service of Sadler. And a service ace. Holcomb can't handle it. Almost looked like Holcomb was moving before the ball got there instead of getting set and putting her body underneath it.
Well, probably because that serve is moving, and if you can see it, This ball is floating. If it's not spinning, it's probably floating, which means it's moving back and forth, and it's a very difficult ball to pass. Again, I really feel like the Roadrunners have cranked up their serving aggressiveness again in this third set.
And the Roadrunners have found a sticky rotation for the Texans, and now with their largest lead, the Roadrunners up by 3. Sadler continues. And a service ace with a little help from the Roadrunners tape. Latke had sent that one down the line the point prior, and now the Roadrunners with a 4-point lead. We'll take a break. Stay with us, more to come. The Colorado Premier Challenge on Roadrunners TV. (18-14) the Roadrunners making a run here in set 3, down 2-0 in the match. Sadler serving. Backside it goes, and Tatami has tried the off speed. The Roadrunners take advantage. She's going to go power, but guess who's there? Latke, Kelling, and the Roadrunners are getting some confidence. They're going to call a point inside out on Tarleton. That one must have gone straight down in front.
Yep.
So it did not land on the side of the net that would have favored the Roadrunners. But, boy, they had the block there. 18-15. Slide and Ava Lai.
Yeah, I like that slide right there by Lai. That's a little different look than they've shown. Anything they have in their toolbox right now that can give Tarleton something different to look at on defense is going to help their cause, and they've got to stay aggressive back here at the serving line.
And Lai bringing some length, and Latke bringing a serve with an ace for the freshman.
The Roadrunners were out the Texans 5-2 coming into this. I think they've had another 3 or 4 aces in this set. But that doesn't tell the whole story. A lot of times they're just getting this Tarleton team out of system with their serving. I have to assume that was discussed between sets 2 and 3, but it's making all the difference in this third set.
Darthuy, the senior from France, answers and not only gets the kill, but now we'll go back to serve. She's been so effective in all phases of the game. Good defender. Now you see her keep that one off the floor. She'll get the ball back for a back row attack. Kelling makes something out of nothing. Free ball for the Roadrunners. Back it goes. Oh, Lai throwing down the hammer, and Darthuy can't handle it. 21-16, 4 away from taking its first set in the match. The Roadrunners by 5. The libero Rexis back to serve with the floater. That time just enough angle, goes off the arms and out of bounds. We'll see Tarleton, you talked about, Debbie, the experience, how down the stretch of a set, they seem to hold their composure. Let's see what the Roadrunners can do with just 4 away from a set win. Kelling with the kill.
They need to keep feeding Lai. I tell you what, most of these swings she's putting away, she hasn't even had a blocker in front of her. So really good read by the setters to be getting her open swings, and Avalon Lai has made a big difference in this third set.
Middle attack proving effective for the Roadrunners in the third set. Block is there on Strange. White throws it down. Good dig by Rodriguez again. Oh, tapping it over. Good effort by Franklin. Benda gets a chance. Block is up. And so is the Roadrunners block. Good rally ensuing. Benda, oh, just misses the placement on the tap over, the touch over the block.
Well, this is a little bit of uncharted territory here for the Roadrunners with a 4-point lead in the 20s. It's been tighter. Hopefully that'll allow them to stay confident, take a breath, get a side out right here, first ball.
Brannon, the setter, on the serve. Benda tries the left side, goes cross court, it's picked up. Strange, not over the block this time, and look at the freshman McClinton. That's the most emotion we've seen all match, Debbie, and she is into it now.
Yeah, she is pretty calm most of the time. But again, I think where she may not be making as big of an impact on this team offensively right now, she making a big contribution defensively. That's a huge block right there.
Great ability to keep the ball off the floor. The Roadrunners, oh, was it a double hit? No call made. Benda gets an opportunity, sends it into the blockers. Rexus is there on the rebound. Oh, an off speed by Lockie. She was a little bit out of position for that hit, stretched back and hit that one a little too high, goes out of bounds and back to a 4-point edge.
I got to be honest, I'm struggling to figure out what it is that they're going to call a double because that last ball was horribly mishandled.
Yeah, it really looked like a double there.
Yeah.
Oh, nice angle by Benda, picked up by Tarleton State. Ball goes back to Benda off the pass. Ball through the court. We're going to have a replay or not? We should have a replay as the ball went right through the court. Coach Glenn asking for the floor referee to say something.
I don't think
I don't know if they saw
I don't think the R2 even realized the ball came through the court, but it came right through at the 10-foot line. That's a very dangerous thing to continue to play. I'll tell you right now, the Roadrunners aren't getting the breaks. I feel like there have been a couple of doubles that could have been called. There have definitely been a couple doubles called on the Roadrunners with a similar type of ball. You know, the ball, if they have a no call on this ball coming right through the middle of the floor, they're dealing with some adversity. And I think that maybe when we go back to what their last few weeks have been like with all that adversity, you know, this may be the message is just shake it off. You still have a 3-point lead. You got to find a way to score 2 before they score 5.
That's right. And adapt and overcome is one of their mottos this year for the Roadrunners. And, you know, one of the other points that Coach Glenn made about this squad in their mental prep for the season is they're hungry. She just said they don't want to finish like last year. As good as they finished to get as far as they did, to make it to the NCAA tournament, they had to go all the way through the RMAC. They were the 4th seed. That was hard fought to get to the 4th seed. They made it to the finals. They lost, but they were an at-large bid. But then the team who was the number 1 seed out of the RMAC, Colorado School of Mines, came back to beat them in the first round. So it left a bad taste in their mouth.
Sure. And you have to have those returning players help the new ones understand that and be fueled by that. So that last ball was overturned, the ball that came across the middle of the floor.
Oh, a 1v1 block by Tonga. This time rejected is McClinton. Coach Glenn wants to talk about it. Her team just up by 2. Yeah. They've seen a 4-point lead down to just 2 points. We'll keep it right here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because they did get the call they needed with the replay of that ball that came through the floor. But then to have, get blocked twice, back-to-back points, takes a little bit of wind out of your players' sails. But they just have to respond right now. I mean, they still have the 2-point lead. They've got to find a way to get a side out right here, score 1 on serve, and then they've got a little bit of life in this match.
And you had mentioned about the fight. This is the time. They've got just 2 points, and now they need to score 2 before Tarleton scores 4. But more importantly, it's what their frame of mind is, where they are right now mentally to try to overcome. Because this is where it's been the turning point of each of the last 2 sets.
Yeah, you're right.
And you mentioned the edge was to Tarleton as they won both sets. First one 26-24, the last one, the second one 25-23. They win this one, they sweep in the match. So Roadrunners have a couple of definite motivators here in set 3 to try to win this one. White with the nice serve receive. Benda. Good dig by Brannon. Darthuy gets a touch, but Kayla White keeps it in. Oh, McClinton takes the quick in the middle.
That was a great dig on that last ball by White. And then I love the moxie of the setters to keep going to McClinton in tight situations. They trust her, and she found the floor. It doesn't have to be a big swing. Just has to know where the holes are on the floor.
Now McClinton's going to try to do it back at the serve. Set point for the Roadrunners. Megan Hart goes back door to Benda. Off the blockers as she caught him on the downside of the block. And it's a win for the Roadrunners. They take set 3, 25-21. That is actually the largest victory we've seen in the match. 26-24. 25-23 for Tarleton, and now 25-21 Roadrunners back match. They're down 2-1. Stay with us. We've got a good one heating up here at the Auraria Event Center. It's the Colorado Premier Challenge on Roadrunners TV. We know you love your Roadrunner sports, and we know you want as much Roadrunner as you can handle. So join us every Monday night at 5:30 Mountain as we bring you the Coach's Corner. We bring in-depth interviews with coaches and players as we do it right here on campus at the Tivoli Tap House. You can watch it exactly how you're watching this game right here on Stretch Internet. Mary Kay Morrow and Coach Debbie Hendrick. Debbie, it has been a very, very good match against the number 9 currently ranked in NCAA rankings, Tarleton State, the Roadrunners, who come in unranked, 4-0, all matches on the road, and the first time on their home floor, they're showing well.
They are. I'm really impressed with this squad, and I thought they might look a little more, just maybe a little inconsistent or just struggle with some flow. And actually, the only time I've seen that is when they haven't been aggressive. As long as they're serving aggressive and they're taking aggressive swings, I see so much positive in this team. And like we said earlier, they're still getting to know each other. So I think their ceiling is still quite a bit higher than it is right now. And
an overpass, and Kayla White, perfect person to have at the net for the Roadrunners, touches it just enough on the joust and wins it for the Roadrunners.
That was another really good offensive effort by the Roadrunners. They hit 200 that last set, but I actually think it was the blocking. They had 3 blocks that set, and the serving. They had 3 aces, outright aces, but I think they had the Texans out of system a lot, and that's got to be their mentality the rest of the way. This is the mentality we talked about late in that set was so different than in the previous 2. So I think they're also getting some confidence playing a good team in tight sets. That'll bode well for them in the rest of this tournament.
And showing some different looks. You mentioned that as well. They brought in Ava Lai just enough to throw some different looks to continue that out of system that they kept putting Tarleton in that position and making them a little uncomfortable. Now a 2-1 lead on the point and side out for the Roadrunners and the junior. Kayla White, you said she needs to take more of an assertive leadership role, probably not just on the court but off the court. She and her teammates taking it to heart here in match number 1 of the Colorado Premier Challenge. Darthuy goes down the line and out. I think get her a little frustrated would really be wonderful. She's had an outstanding match thus far, and you can see her starting to kind of emotion change a little bit in their body language.
Yeah, and this is a team that does play a lot off emotion. I played against the Tarleton team. In 14, we played them in the 2014. We played them in the regional, and they play a lot off emotion. I think their coach is emotional, and she feeds in and fuels her team that way. But emotion can be one of those things that if you're struggling, you won't have that emotion. You got to have something else you draw from, and that's usually grit, confidence. They're going to be looking to dig a little deeper right here in this match because things aren't going as much their way, and the Roadrunners are starting to get a little more confidence on their side. So the Texans aren't going to be able to use the emotional piece as much right now. They're going to have to grind a little bit.
Middle attack, and Benda comes through. Oh, does she make it or miss it?
She made it.
She got it.
Yeah, she got the touch.
Touch at the net. We're back to a tie, this time at 3. And McClinton, terrific third set at the block and at the serve, is back to serve now for the Roadrunners. Holcomb with the serve receive. That time, Darthuy takes it off the blockers. And Toole a point, and her team back in front. Franklin now serving. She's the second setter when Tarleton runs a 6-2. Oh, tap over by Latke, picked up by the defense. And just squeezing it through is Lauren Kersey, the 5'11 sophomore from Norman, Oklahoma. That one was interesting. It almost looked like the Roadrunners. The block was up, Debbie, but they just were a little too far off the net as it squeezed down in between the net and the blockers.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest issues you usually deal with blocking is, you got to get them in the right spot first, but then you've got to get that good penetration at the top of the net, hands across the net on the opponent's side. And a lot of times blockers do a good job of getting in front of the attacker, but they don't do a good job finishing at the top of the net.
Kelling responds with a touch in the middle for a point for MSU Denver. Outside it goes. Lai is back in. Block is up. Oh, and Sadler sets it over, but Tarleton's there. Darthuy goes deep and out. Tried to go up and around the blockers. She does, but it goes wide. So.
Yeah, I think you were right earlier. I think there's a little bit of frustration beginning to crawl into her. But, she's a high-level All-American last year. she'll compete for the rest of the match. She'll find ways to score.
Gains a little energy from her teammates, and on the slide that time with a big swing was Lauren Kersey. And Kersey, with the kill, pulls her team rather to within 1.
Yeah, Kersey's so good off 1 foot.
Oh, Lai just mistimes it. Wonder if the height of the set could have had something to do with that one for Lai.
I think it was a little underset, yeah. Sadler's giggling. I think she knew she left her a little low.
Left her hanging. All right, here we go. This one's high enough for Latke. The block is there. Great dig by Rodriguez, but an overpass is taken advantage of and put down by Kelling.
Yeah, that's a heads-up play by Kelling. She could have taken a swing on that, but it was a little bit tight to the net. Really smart to just place that to the far sideline. Not as flashy, but still scores.
Latke in the back on the pass. Rather the dig, that is. Strange, didn't get enough height. She hit that one. She looked like she was a little off on her stride and balance. It goes into the tape, and the Roadrunners take a 2-point lead. Latke, the freshman from Gillette, Wyoming, just north of Colorado. And that's about a 5-hour drive. My brother and his family lived up there for a while. I'd been up there in Campbell County. It's they get some hard winters up there.
I bet they do.
As we said, a Gatorade Player of the Year in basketball, as a multi-sport athlete in Gillette. Strange, flat-footed, does a down ball. Oh, here goes back door. Like, does you make him play? No. And that one's off the chest of Natalia Chatham. And Chatham will take a seat. Tough ball to handle. That one was high, and it was between 2 players.
Yeah, just a miscommunication there, I think. One of those you just have to let it go. So we're starting to see a few more errors by this Tarleton team. I think that the block has managed to frustrate the attackers just a little bit, and they're starting to go for too much. And that's typically what happens. Even if you don't score with the block, if you touch a lot of balls, block balls back on their side, hitters start to try to do too much sometimes. They get a little too creative or just take too big a swing. And if that's what's beginning to happen a little bit with Tarleton, that's a great job by the Metro State block, just getting in their heads enough to start to make them err a little more.
And a big swing and a kill by Kayla White.
I think it caught
that
one.
Yeah, I was going to say, or else her hand was in the net. So that one's going to be a point inside out for Tarleton. But White, she's been itching to show the heat. We saw that heat check early, and she says, you know what? Pull me once.
Yeah. And
she comes back with more firepower round 2.
Oh, I love 2 things about that. One, I love the fact that they've been leaving Kayla White out wide at the antenna. They brought her inside, made the block move a little. And I love that Sadler went right back to her. She just had an error. Sadler showed the confidence to go right back to her. I love when setters do that.
And White responds. And, great ball to keep up by Brannon. White gets the call again. What a great touch into the corner. A power touch by White. And MSU Denver now with the 3-point edge forces a timeout by Coach Schindler and Tarleton State. We'll take it with them right here on Roadrunners TV. 12 serving 9. The MSU Denver Roadrunners lead it by 3. Mary Kay Morrow and Debbie Hendricks bringing you live coverage of the Colorado Premier Challenge. One of the definitely premier tournaments in NCAA Division II women's volleyball. Early tournament action before teams go into conference play. But these two, this one means a little bit more, because the Lone Star Conference for Tarleton and the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference for the Roadrunners, both in the same region. So seeding, as you mentioned earlier, Debbie, this one could really play a part in some seeding as the season wears on. And Lai comes through, actually make that Benda with the big swing and the kill coming from the left side this time.
Yeah, you know, as a coach, you try not to put too much emphasis on this being a regional matchup. At the same time, it could really impact your ranking in a few weeks. And so, you know, both of these teams know what this match means from a regional standpoint, and they're going to play hard to get this win for their standings.
And Kayla White takes a serve with terrific movement, just dips down inside the back line for a service ace, untouched. And another one. She is really exploiting that back line between the 5 and 6 holes, and Rodriguez is struggling along with Holcomb. She goes right back at it, as you should, as the server. Touch in the middle by Tonga, goes over, and here comes Lockey, right through the defense with the kill.
Well, just like White is attacking the serve seam, Latke just took a great seam swing between the left back and middle back. That's the weakness of a perimeter defense. That high deep corner is open. So the Roadrunners are really beginning to flow out there and show a lot of confidence. I think honestly it's coming off of that aggressive serving. You know, it's creating so much for them.
And you also mentioned about the block, and how that can maybe wear a team mentally, like even an experienced team like Tarleton State. In sports like, you know, that you're running, whether you're playing basketball, soccer, football, whatever, they always talk about the altitude. How does altitude affect volleyball players?
You know, if you're from sea level, you're probably feeling it in the longer rallies here. And I'm trying to think which teams, you know, your Florida teams are from sea level. But even if you're from just a little bit lower altitude, you might feel it on the longer rallies. And then the other thing is the ball floats more. So just like in baseball, they hit more home runs at Coors Field, the serve floats long here. So you may notice players that don't typically serve the ball out long. If they're just missing, it could possibly be a little bit of altitude. But as far as physically, it's mostly just in the longer rallies they get a little gassed.
Outside it goes. Darthuy, who's got 10, make it 11 kills on the day. Adriana Darthuy from Marseille, France. The senior has done an outstanding job today. She gets the point inside out for Tarleton State after the timeout. Back set it goes. Benda goes down the line. That is a tough ball. How tough? From that right side, your body is focused across court, but your arm swing is down the line.
Yeah, it's a tough shot, and that's why she didn't hit it with quite as much pace. But again, the deep corners are what's open for both of these teams because of the defense they're running. Both are doing a really nice job right now of attacking those corners.
Brandon goes out to Darthuy with the power tip, but Megan Hart's there. Tough ball, but great dig by McClinton. And the block by Benda, Kelling. And Darthuy is on the floor, and so is the ball on the Tarleton State side, and McClinton is back to serve with the point inside out for the Roadrunners, who have now the largest lead of the day for either team, a 7-point lead. Brennan. Ball was off, and how in the heck did Tatiyama make something out of nothing? Yeah. Flat-footed and moving away from the ball, still got it through the blockers.
Yeah, she was definitely off balance. She just looked to swing high on the block, and it paid off. But as you said, I really feel like the Roadrunners are in control right now. They've got everything working for them, and they have to work hard because down 2 sets, and losing such close sets, I know, was really demoralizing. The fact that they've gotten themselves back in this position says a lot about the grit of this team.
And you mentioned it earlier about what teams draw from, and whether they draw from emotion, and if the emotion's not there, then they've got to dig deep and grind it out. And we're seeing some great grinding here from both teams, and particularly the Roadrunners. That 7-point lead now down to 5. Franklin serving. Megan Hart goes back to Lockheed. She'll tip it over. Slide year right off one foot. Lauren Kersey, who now with 11 kills on the day, she ties Darthuy. Pulls her team to within 4. Kelling with the kill.
Setters have done a great job today of getting the middles in one-on-one situations, and I really do think that Tarleton is leaving the middles one-on-one because they know the pin attackers can do such damage, and so it's been a great situation to use the middles when the ball control is there, and I love that the setters have done a good job of using the middles, not overusing them, but using them enough to keep the middles honest.
And Sadler was off the net, or rather make that Darthuy was off the net and still was able to tool it off the block, and it went on the inside this time, and now a 4-point edge for the Roadrunners. Darthuy back to serve, the senior. Jump serve. Back it goes, Lai on the slide. Rodriguez keeps it up. From the 10-foot line, that one is dug out by Kersey off of Kersey's hit, but still on the long rally. This time Tarleton State comes out on top. Now what is Coach Jenny Glenn, as she saw a 7-point lead shrink to just 3 here?
Well, I think this is a good proactive timeout. The Roadrunners are still in control in this set. You can feel Tarleton kind of picking up a little bit of speed here. And I think more than anything, she just wants to give her team a chance to take a breath and reset, because they're still in control and they need to play as if they're still in control. But I think that all the bright spots that we've seen from this Roadrunner team, they just need to continue to focus on doing those things. And I think this is anybody's match at this point.
And I like the defense that Metro State has been playing too. You saw McClinton getting into the act, digging some balls, and actually getting on the floor, keeping it off the ground, and I think the players will certainly it's contagious. You know, that energy when you start getting that flow that you talked about, and McClinton's sure feeling it. She's had a nice match so far.
I really like her. You know, it's like she's kind of quiet, like you said, but you know, when you've got your middle going to the floor to dig a ball, and she's also has a really nice serve back there, so she's making her presence known as a freshman.
Darthuy serving 16-19. Lai, the second option, just gets it over. Boy, a little miscommunication, and it was just enough to throw off the Tarleton State defense.
Well, I love the play there, and Jenny has continued to call some creative options in the serve receive. Moving players around on the net, keeping this Tarleton defense honest. They did misconnect on that, but they were able to find a way to score.
Going to the inside on the swing was Kersey, and Kelling was there with a big block. Back to a 5-point edge and 4 away from tying the match, the Roadrunners, behind Lockheed serving. Strange will try to get over the block. Kelling into the arms of Holcomb. Okay. Kayla White, that is, along with Kelling. The block was there. She's going to get an opportunity on the swing, and Rodriguez on the defense. Effort by Sadler. Rexus ends up with a pass to set up Lai, and taking advantage of some blocking, and I really think her length is throwing off Tarleton State across the net. 22 serving 16. substitution. Chatham back in now for Charlotte Bradshaw. Official talking to the scorers table. See what the call is. Coach Schindler had a question. Okay, 22 serving 16. Riley Lotke serving. Outside it goes to Strange, off the tip of the fingertips, that is, of Lyde. Back to Kayla White. And White gets the touch. That one hit the tape first.
We're going to get our first challenge here, I think. Yeah. I honestly couldn't see it from this angle. I know it caught the tape first, and it looked like it was on a tree to be wide. But they were by the line judge. And this will be a great opportunity to see the review system in the process here, in action.
And again, with the challenge review, coaches get 3 per match. Unless the match goes to sets, then they get 1 more. And what's interesting for each team, breaks like this, when you have a challenge review, you keep that momentum going and that focus, because it's easy to take that, you have that gap as we wait here for the review.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you can even see this used tactically as an opportunity to kind of slow the match. I have seen it used in that way. There are only certain things that you can actually use a challenge for. One is whether the ball is in or out, which is the situation that we're looking at right now. Whether a player touched the ball. It can be by the blocker. It can be by a player as the ball is going out of bounds. Net faults, you can actually call whether the net was touched by the ball, the net was touched by the ball, or the antenna was touched by the ball, and then service foot faults. The majority of the ones I've seen it used for is whether the ball's in or out, or whether there's a touch. Because a lot of times, you know, when the blocker goes up and the attacker's swinging off those high hands, it can be the smallest of touch off the fingertips. And, you know, human error can miss some of those things. So I think it's a good rule. I'm glad this implementing the challenge, I'm glad it's kept to just 3 per team. Because I think if it was overused, it would be really slow the flow of the match. This is one of the things we talked about. You know, it does change kind of the flow when you see it used. But I think this is a critical juncture, and they need to get this call right. So.
Yeah, especially because this could tie the match. Well, not this particular point, but Metro State being 2 away from tying the match. And if the point counts, then it becomes set point.
Yeah.
So in looking at these 2 leagues, we talked about how the 2 conferences are in the same region. You played for Lubbock Christian out of that Lone Star Conference. Not too many years ago, right? So anyway.
Well, it was enough years ago that we were not the Lone Star Conference.
It wasn't the Lone Star Conference as it is
we were
today.
not even Division II. We were NAI.
Isn't that something? So you know the area. You know the caliber that really comes out of that league. Texas A&M Commerce is also in that same conference. They are playing at Regis. So one of the things
Huge win today. They beat Tampa.
Oh my! They knocked off the defending champs.
Yes. It was. Do believe that Tampa had an injury going into it, and they obtained another injury during the match. So it's really unfortunate. But that's a huge win for the Texas A&M Commerce team, which they've been gaining momentum over the last few years.
And so they're playing. So this tournament, the Colorado Premier Challenge, the host schools have really been shared. It's Regis University along with MSU Denver, and it's such a privilege to be able to host a tournament of this caliber. As we said, the defending champs getting upset earlier today on the Regis Rangers court, and here today we've got number 9 Tarleton State up 2-1 over Metropolitan State University of Denver, who is threatening to tie this one. They lead at 23-16. We are in a challenge review of a touch along the net. And also coming up in pool play, MSU Denver, Debbie, plays Southwest Minnesota State out of the Northern Sun Conference, and that is just an incredible conference. One that I believe hosts also is the home of 8-time defending national champions.
They're nine now.
Is Concordia St. Paul and Brady Starkey's squad.
Yeah. You know, they always have several teams ranked in the top 10 in their conference, and they started out that way. They had 4 teams from the Northern Sun in the top 10. Southwest Minnesota took a loss last week, and they actually dropped all the way to 15.
All the way to 15.
Yeah, but that is such a brutal conference and region. I think there are 9 teams ranked in the top 25 out of that region, and only 8 go. So it's just night in and night out. There's no question the teams from that Northern Sun Conference that come and participate in this tournament, they do it because it's helping them get ready for the night in, night out competition they're going to have in that Northern Sun Conference and, in the region as a whole.
And in looking around the country, and then down south, where you've got Palm Beach Atlantic, you've got Tampa, you've got that whole southern, that area just as well, and you've got Tampa. How does that compare? Because they're starting to, more often than not, have at least one, if not 2, represented in the national tournament, which is an Elite 8 type format.
The Sunshine State Conference, without a doubt, is a very strong conference. They really don't get any nights off down there either. The Northern Sun might be just a hair stronger, top to bottom. But they're both such difficult conferences from a standpoint of you have to always bring your A game. And that South region is also very competitive, So it's great to see the parity in volleyball across the country beginning to catch up with those two conferences and regions.
And they're going to keep the point. It was actually 22-16, so the point stands, and Metropolitan State University of Denver is 2 away from tying the match. Latke serving. Tooling it off the block. The Texans respond, and they'll get the ball back and down by 6. Tonga returns on the substitution to the front line for the Texans. Into the net. The Roadrunners, Texans, 2 in a row now. Important point here for MSU Denver. Rexus in the middle of the back line defense. Lai down the line. Beautiful swing by Lai, and goes right at Darthuy, and she can't keep it in the court. Set point for the Roadrunners. So Lai has been critical in her spot play. She'll get another opportunity. She goes up and over the block. It's touched. It's a point, and it's a win. The 4th set, we are tied. Back-to-back wins for the Roadrunners to match the 2 in a row by Tarleton State. And folks, we are headed to a 5th set. First to 15 or win by 2. We'll step aside. Come back, more to come on Roadrunners TV. It's 2-2, MSU Denver and Tarleton State. We've seen more than we bargained for with these two teams in a terrific first match on center court at the Colorado Premier Challenge. Mary Kay Morrow and Debbie Hendricks, former head coach of right here, MSU Denver, one of the host schools for the Premier. And we are tied at 2 sets apiece. We are in set 5, the first to 15 or win by 2. Tarleton State on the service. Off speed by Darthuy. Here comes Lai, who remains in the lineup. The slide off one foot with Kersey. What a dig by White. She's got 15 on the day. There's a kill that, oh no, attempt. And the overpass allows Lotke to put it away in the short court.
Great heads-up play by freshman. And she knew not to try to put that ball back into the middle of the floor and take it to the sideline.
Points at a premium here in the Colorado Premier Challenge. Oh, little miscommunication. Kersey was coming around for the slide, and I think this set was for Tonga, or maybe it was Kersey, and ball hits the ground, and just like that, the Roadrunners by 2.
You're starting to see a little bit of frustration on the Tarleton side right now, too.
Cross court, this one is good by Carmen Kinsey. We haven't seen a lot of Kinsey, just her 3rd attempt. We've got some players who are in double-double territory, and Adriana Darthuy for Tarleton is in a triple-double situation with 14 kills on the day. 14 receiving and 15 digs.
Well, talking about doubles, that's 10 kills now for Aveline Lai, which 4 MSU Denver players with double-digit kills today. What a balanced offense this team is running. I'm so impressed.
Very huge. Kayla White with that double-double. We said 14 kills, 15 digs. Benda with 13, and there's another block. This one by Lai. She is really making her presence felt. She came in that 3rd set to give a different look, and that was when the Roadrunners were down 2-0. And now Coach Schindler says, we've got to talk about it. We're down by 3 in set 5.
Yeah, this is a smart timeout because the wheels are starting to come off a little bit, even emotionally, I think, for the Texans. We have been calling them the Texans,
That's
and we
right.
apologize, the Texans. But, you know, I think she wants to get in front of this right now because you can just see the frustration on the faces of the Tarleton athletes, and everything now is rolling the way of the Roadrunners, and a lot of that is their own doing. I think, you know, they were down 2 and they scratched and clawed and just kept finding ways to score points until they got a rhythm, and now they have a rhythm. And again, I just want to give a compliment to this offense. You know, we've got 14 kills for Kayla White going into the set. The freshman Latke has 12, Alexis Benda 13, Aveline Lai just got her 10th. I mean, if I'm the Tarleton defense, is like, well, who do you stop?
Exactly.
Because you stop one player and another one pops up, and we're just discovering that this Roadrunner team has a lot of terminal attackers.
Yeah, a lot of options, and I mentioned a triple-double for Darthuy. It's actually just a double, 14 kills and 15 digs, but she's got 3 aces on the day. No serve-receive errors. Outside, Kayla White challenge. Does a great job to keep that one alive off the block. Darthuy rejected, and look at the freshman. More and more confidence we are seeing from her. Big block for the freshman McClinton.
Yeah, she's been a huge presence all day long at the net.
On the slide, Kersey able to tool it just enough, and it instead just drops in front of Rexus. Good time for the Texans to get that one switched, and Rodriguez on the serve, her team down by 3. Sadler to Lai by Holcomb. White has to go way outside, great adjustment. Kersey with a great slide deep in the backcourt. So the defense was up, she caught him out of position.
Mm-hmm. She did, and again, that slide approach footwork, it's just so hard for the block to get the block set in the right spot, and then if the backline defense starts creeping up, any deep shot like that's going to score.
White goes to the interior, touched off by Rhodes. And this one, again, going right at White and McClinton. Ball goes out of bounds, and that 5-1 lead is now just a 1-point advantage for the Roadrunners. Rodriguez continues. White on the receive, tied on the net. Good job by Sadler to control it and not step on the line. Darthuy goes over the block. Was it touched? And it was. Jenny Glenn says we've got to talk about it. That's 4 consecutive points. We are knotted at 5 apiece. We'll take a break. Come on back. 5-5 in the 5th and final set. Say that a few times in a row right here on the Colorado Premier Challenge. Mary Kay Morrow and Debbie Hendricks, thrilled to bring you live action of NCAA Division II Colorado Premier Challenge Volleyball right here in Denver, Colorado on the campus of MSU Denver. They are knotted at 2 apiece in the match, and 5 make that 6-5 as Ava Aveline Lai with the kill off the touch. She's really made a difference here in the past 2 sets.
She really has. We really weren't saying her name much early, and then she just has lit a fire for this team. And Kersey's done a really nice job for Tarleton. They've got basically 3 attackers who've carried the heaviest load: Duarte, Kersey, and Tatiana.
Tatiana, that's right. It's the best way to do it. Her full name is Tatiana Tuialeumi.
Yes.
And that's a mouthful to say. Will be 2 points, so it will probably transpire by the time I get say the full name. Into the net, Benda with an air. One of the rare ones today, and giving the Texans an edge here by 1 on the service is Amari Franklin. She's had a nice day behind the line. Benda will try it this time, off speed over the top. It's picked up in the backcourt. Darthuy off the block. Oh, Rexus extends, can't get there. And another timeout for the Roadrunners. Actually, it's a change of court because we're midway through the set.
Yeah, Tarleton was first to 8. That was a great high swing by Darthuy. She knew she had a big block in front of her, didn't try to blast through the block, just used high hands. Well past the backline defense.
That's that experience coming through here in the late moments of the match. Darthuy, as we said, with the double-double, she now has 15 kills and 15 digs. Oh, a service ace by Franklin. Now Coach Glenn says we got to talk about it, as that is 4 consecutive 3 at the hands of Franklin's serve.
Well, Metro State had everything rolling their way at the beginning of this set and seemed to be in total control. And now we've just seen the tide turn, and everything seems to be flowing the Tarleton way now.
Such a momentum swing, and that's the name of the game for volleyball, and we're seeing it in action here in set 5. And, one of the things Coach Glenn said is matches this weekend, since it's still so early in the season. And she said, our hope is just really focus on one match at a time. She said, Tarleton hasn't seen them since last year. She said, and they're getting better each match, but she said so are we, and we've got to be able to show that and compete no matter the circumstance. Yeah. And she says if we can pull that out of these matches this weekend, that's what's going to carry them into conference and give them the confidence to hopefully be one of the top 4 again in RMAC.
I liked another comment that she made about they were only going to focus on exactly what in front of them. With so many new and several young players, if you look at the Premier as a whole, it can be a little daunting. And I think that the fact that they're just going to look at what's exactly directly in front of them, for instance, looking at Tarleton today and not thinking about Southwest Minnesota until you get there, I think that's a really smart approach with the younger team.
Back to live action. It goes outside, and the left-hander, Tatiana, is picked up in the backcourt by Meganhart. The ball continues in. A rally. Oh, a touch over by White. Just misses that side tape. And now the Texans starting to feel it as they get into double digits, 5 away from taking the match. They have rattled off 5 consecutive. Tight on the net. Here comes Benda, tools it off for a point.
You know, I think both of these setters for MSU Denver have done a great job today of saving the tight balls. It's a little bit undersized as a setter. It's hard to keep from getting in the net when that pass is tight, and they've both done an outstanding job.
Yeah, Sadler has been terrific in there. She's got 23 assists. She also has 4 of the 10 aces for MSU Denver. Outside, Lotke challenges Rodriguez. She picks it up in the backcourt. Darthuy rejected, and Benda McClinton.
Well, Benda just got that block, but you know she came way over to pick up that ball off the block. Great coverage by her. Sometimes that off attacker isn't ready to do that, and she actually kept that ball alive.
Middle attack this time by Tatiana, and it's White on the dig. Look at the junior generate some energy from the backcourt. You got McClinton on the front line with Benda and White in the backcourt, and just like that, the Roadrunners within 1, forcing a timeout.
Yeah, I felt like that was some hustle in the last 2 or 3 rallies by the Roadrunners, and sometimes that hustle starts translating into getting lucky. You know, if you work hard enough, you start to get a little bit lucky, and that last ball in for them, I think that kind of the grit they've been playing with over the last 2 or 3 rallies.
Take what you can get. We'll step aside briefly, come back for the final points here in set 5. Kayla White to serve, her team down by, but the momentum has shifted once again. Swing is defense is White again. Outside it goes to Darthuy. Lackey sets it up. Meganhart in the back door. Benda gets the call. Darthuy tight on the net. Oh, did she get it off a touch? No.
No touch.
No touch called. It was let go by Benda. Coach Sindler wants reviewed, and she gets it in an extra 1 anyway. No, she
gets 1.
Okay.
She gets 1. So, and I think it's a great time to use it. I mean, I thought there might have been a touch on that too. If they determine that there is a touch, this is a very critical point here.
It was 9 serve. Actually, it was 10 serving 10 behind Kayla White. We'll take a break and come back as the challenge review is in force right here on Roadrunners TV. A big decision has been made. It was actually 9 serving 10, and MSU Denver does keep the point after the review by official Michelle Smith. So we are knotted at 10 apiece, a huge possible turning point in the fifth and final set. Oh! The block! This time, Lackey and McClinton once again all over it for the point for the Roadrunners.
That's huge to come out after that long delay and win that next point and take the lead.
It could have been 11-9. Instead, it's 11 in favor of Tarleton. Instead, it's 11-10. MSU Denver, a 3-point turnaround here. Late in the fifth and final set, Latke looking for a touch.
We're going to see another challenge, I bet.
This one's going to be by Jenny Glenn. She's going to pull her card.
I don't blame them.
I don't either.
These are such critical points.
Latke went high, and you've talked about it all match, Debbie, about the Roadrunners. You know, a little bit smaller along the net, but more importantly, to play smarter with their hits and their swings to swing high. Latke did it that time.
Latke did. She was looking for that outside hand. The line judge says, and one of the officials, I believe, called the touch. It'll be very interesting to see on both of these. It's so hard, the human error involved, and the video sometimes can't even really show that little bit of a touch. So, you know, as we were talking about during the break, it has to be indisputable evidence that comes out of the video to overturn whatever the call was on the court. So in this case, the call favors the Roadrunners, and unless there's indisputable evidence that there was no touch, then this is going to the
call holds up.
And they are able to look at this from 2 or 3 different angles. It's so hard to see some of these little micro touches.
And the other thing, and we'll actually go ahead and run through the protocol for you for this rule change that's new this year, the challenge review. And each team, as we said, 3 challenges per match. You get 1 extra in the fifth and final set. But neither team had used any up until this point. And then the only team that lost the rally will be able to challenge, which in this case it was Metro State Denver. If the call is reversed, the team that lost the review will be able to challenge another aspect of the point. Now, we haven't seen that yet. Each team will be limited to 1 challenge per rally.
You know, something else I learned during the national tournament is actually if they determine something during the course of watching the review that is they got wrong outside of what's being challenged, they can reverse that too, or they can call that. So any any part of the review that reveals something can be, you know, can impact the outcome. So I think I misspoke. I think there was.
You know what
They're calling for a touch, and MSU Denver saying there is no touch.
Yeah. So you're exactly right. So prior to the challenge, MSU Denver was winning 11-10. And Coach Jenny Glenn is challenging the fact that it was not that it was touched, because Tarleton said it was not touched and they were granted a point. So the scoreboard is showing 11-11, and they were the call.
So far 3 challenges.
Oh. Okay.
3 challenges, and the play on the floor has stood on all 3.
And you know what?
Great officiating.
Now they're switching it back, so it was 11-10. It stayed with Carleton after the challenge, and once again, this time at 11, and Tarleton State will serve none other than the senior, the experienced one, the All-American. Oh my goodness, I jinxed her. As Adriana Darthuy.
Some would argue that this is one of the fallacies of a review challenge, is that, you know, the players cool off. That took 2-3 minutes for us to go through that, but I think it's worth it to get the calls right, especially at these junctures.
You bet. A service error gives Metro State the lead. Then coming back during the rally, Darthuy almost like palms the ball over the net. She was moved away from the right side, closer to the middle, found an opening, and she is called for
a carry.
Because it literally looked like she palmed the ball like a basketball, threw it over.
Well,
so she was called, giving Metro State University of Denver a point, and here's another one.
Yeah.
Set match point, and the freshman serving McClinton, and Coach Schindler said, no, I want to talk about it. I want another review. So the call right now is that MSU Denver was awarded a point. That would give them set match point at 14-11. Coach Schindler immediately runs over to the scorer's table, grabs, it's a green card that says Challenge Review System on it, picks it up, and shows it to the official before the next point, and now we are under review once again.
Well, and so far we're 0 for 3 on challenges being overturned.
Our fourth challenge, third by Tarleton State. And absolutely critical. Difference of either being within one or being being down 3, and Metro State University of Denver would be 1 point away.
You know, this would just be such a huge win for the Roadrunners. It's kind of the flow's really been disrupted right here at the end of this fifth set, but you've got to give credit to this Roadrunner team because they were down to, very disheartening, I think, losing both the first and the second set by 2 points when they were right there. The heart, the grit they've shown to climb back into this, I think has just been outstanding. And now, they've shown us some really tremendous volleyball for such a young, new team.
And they are awarded the point. It is set match point for the Roadrunners and Debbie Hendricks.
No challenges.
Your Roadrunners are 1 point away from knocking off the current number 9 team in the country. McClinton serves it. Darthuy on the receive. Block is up. Play continues. Kinsey with the hit. Tap by Kelling is picked up by Rodriguez. Outside the block is there. Oh, Kinsey. Great recovery. After she was rejected at the net, as soon as she came down, she did almost like the heel of her hand to get it back up and over. Roadrunners not in position defensively, and Tarleton State gets a point inside out, and it's still set match point for the Roadrunners, who lead at 14-12. Coach Schindler looking for a tough serve here from number 5. Her first time in the match, Kaylee Conger. Oh, and the block by Tonga and Tatiana.
And I believe Jenny Glenn is out of timeouts. Am I right on that? Her team.
Yeah, they definitely are.
So they're gonna have to find their way here without another timeout.
Another block. Kayla White goes to Lackey. Can they save it? Oh, what an effort by the senior. Free ball on the way. Outside it goes. Block is there, kept it up. Lackey tried again. Neither team wants to give. Kinsey. Oh, Kelling using her foot and gets it over. Oh my God, Kayla White about 10 feet behind the line. And Coach Glenn wants to have it reviewed.
They're challenging that the ball was down. Boy, I tell you what, the officials are earning their pay
they
tonight.
Sure are. In just this one match, and we are now at 2.5 hours and counting in this match. So Tarleton State is saying that, I wonder if they're saying it was 4 hits, but it wasn't. And it was touched by Tateyama out of bounds. But maybe that's where the discrepancy is. Was it inbounds or out of bounds? Because once that ball was kicked, it still counted.
Yeah, yeah.
It still touched the body.
The kick was a perfectly legal play, contact.
So it's a difference once again. We were at We were at 14-13. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. You'll hear more. Please get a quick drink and come back. Or don't even get a drink. Come back and stay with us. 14-14. This one, you got to win by 2 if it goes the Tarleton State way, or else MSU Denver could be a winner.
I thought they got it back.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. That she didn't get it up. So she got a hand underneath. And it would have been a hand underneath. She's saying it hit the where the hand
Right,
got there.
but their whistle didn't blow, and they brought it back. And so I think that was just actually, I think it'd be Metro's fault because they let it go.
Would they replay it? I don't think they would either. Yeah. No, that's true. Right. She played it. That was the thing, is she played it. Yeah, because she played it out of bounds too. Well, the controversy continues, and now it's back to a Tarleton State point, and we are tied at 14. Must win by 2. Set and match is on the line. Outside, Lotke is blocked. Oh, it drops down right in front of the blockers. It'll be a Metro State Denver point and side out. So now coming in is Sattler. What a perfect person to have back there for the Roadrunners. She has 4 service aces on the day, and the setter has been spectacular in her role. Floats it. Goes back to Tatiana through the block. We're tied again.
You know, I honestly wouldn't expect anything less than this. The way this match has been, it's just been, if Ginny wanted her players to compete, they've certainly competed, as has Tarleton. This has just been a great volleyball match.
Couldn't ask for anything more, certainly at this juncture of the season. In the middle, oh, Lai was challenged on a 1v1 by Tonga. That ball was a little too tight to the net for Lai to really do anything with it, and Tonga all over it. Set match point for the Texans. Sadler goes outside to Locke through the block. Brannon on the one step. Oh, goodness. Been doing it all day long. Off the 1 foot on the slide, that is. Lauren Kersey with the kill and the victory. Set match for the Tarleton State Texans as they win it 17-15. And you said it, Debbie, you couldn't have expected anything more. In a 5-set match, it turns out for Tarleton State as they win it 26-24, 25-23, 21-25, 18-25, and they top it off with a very controversial 5th and final set at 17-15. Final thoughts, Debbie?
Well, I know this is a hard one to walk away from the court and not win. It's a shame anyone had to lose that. But if Jenny Glenn isn't just thrilled with what her team brought to this floor today, and knowing that they can get so much better with a season and some time, but they came in and they competed against a really strong Tarleton team and gave them all they could handle. Now, Jenny's so competitive. I know that she and her staff and those players are not going to be satisfied with the moral victory. But the reality of it is, I think with so much new out on the floor, they played really, really well. They competed hard. I would not want to have to face them in 2.5 months when playoff time comes around. I'll tell you that, because this is going to be a really good Roadrunner volleyball team. If you want to just look at the numbers, technically Metro MSU Denver outscored the Texans. They actually had 5 more points over the course of the 5 sets. Sometimes they just weren't able to win the critical ones in the close sets. But I think this was an outstanding effort by this MSU Denver volleyball team, and something they're going to draw from so many different things that happened during that match. There were teaching moments all throughout it. They'll draw from this match for a long time. But one thing they can't do is give it much more attention, because they've got another big match in an hour against a very good 15th ranked Southwest Minnesota volleyball team. So, on some level, they just have to kind of shake this one off and try to come and bring a similar effort to tonight's match.
And no doubt that's going to be a tall task. And typically, Debbie, with, statement games, it's usually when a team wins. But short of calling it a statement match, it really has kind of set a tone for this MSU Denver squad. And we'll see how they can respond against number 15, Southwest Minnesota State, here in an hour. Well, that was a terrific start for us, and Debbie and I will be back. Join us again at Center Court from Auraria Event Center in the home of MSU Denver as once again the number 9 Tarleton State Texans prevail 3-2 over MSU Denver Roadrunners. For Debbie Hendricks, Eric Lansing, our digital director, and the entire Roadrunners TV squad, I'm Mary Kay Morrow. Come back and see us here in about an hour for more Colorado Premier Challenge Women's Volleyball D2 NCAA.